everybody and welcome on today's video. Today it's the beginning of March. It's still quite chilly and wet here in Belgium, but my birch has decided that spring is about to begin, so who am I to say that it's not spring? So that means that I need to repot this tree, but it is wired also, so the first thing that I will have to do is remove all these wires, because, well, once a birch starts to grow, it grows well and it bites in. As you see, the buds are really swelling now, and well, it's always a little bit tricky to get the wires off without destroying all these buds, so I'll do this very slowly, very carefully, and of course I'll speed this up. You might remember this tree from videos from last year, and well, these two little branches here, they were thick as a toothpick, and that's what birches do. They grow like crazy. They also heal quite well, and that's important because they die back quite well, and that's not a good thing. So I'm going to have a look under my cut paste here. Yeah, I think that's quite okay. So when I see that it starts to grow really well, I can wound the cut paste, and well, that's it. So this tree needs a little more growing, I think. This is starting to become quite interesting. This is a little long, and well, there's not much taper, but I saw that this portion here anyway is dead, so I'm sure that I can remove this safely, and half of this is also dead, so maybe I'll try to grow out this bud, which will increase the taper, and that's a whole lot better. And same here, but let it flesh out first. We can always do some pruning in the beginning of summer after the first flush. Another thing with this tree is that I remember that the roots were not that great. Well, they were not bad at all, but I even had to wire a few roots. So now I need to get this out of the pot, remove these root wires, and do some trimming and get this root base balanced out. So let's get it out of the pot and see what I can do. Oh well, there's a wire here. So let's do that. Don't think this tree is wired in, because none of my trees are wired in, so that would be a surprise. The only thing that sometimes causes some trouble is that the drainage screens are wired in, so I better lose these up, and then you see, yeah, that's why it's not such a fantastic idea to even wire your drainage screens, and it's not helping. So I'm going to slowly comb out these roots, and then see what I must do to get this root base even at all sides, because I remember that I had a big root, and that's the one, and well, it's not a bad root, so I'm not complaining about that, but I think it would be better to calm this root down just a little and let the others grow out a little more, and that in the end I will have a better balanced root base, or nebari if you are Japanese. Which I am not. But if you are Japanese. Nebari means the root base, the root flare, and it is very desirable in a tree. It gives the tree a whole lot of stability, visual stability also, which is very important. So quite a lot of entangled roots. I remember that I didn't have a good root base last year, so I did some work on it, but it's always a balance between a healthy tree and a nice root base, so you have to take lots of things in consideration. But I see a whole lot of fine roots, which is certainly great. And a lot of healthy buds. So that's the start here. I'll now have a look at the bottom, which is, well, a quite consistent root mat. The tree doesn't really need a repot, but it needs a good root base, and it needs the wires to be removed from the roots. So that's why I need to do this. It's been raining quite hard and everything is soaking wet here, which doesn't make the repot easy, but okay. I think I have a drainage screen here, yeah. And there should be another one somewhere. So I think I have to almost bare root this tree. I'll wash the roots and I'll be back when that's done. So this root base is now nice and clean, and I've spotted a few of these wires, like this one, that I need to remove now. It was some kind of a double hook construction. Did the job very well, I think. Well, because this root base is not bad at all. Here is something else. And this is just a copper wire, thin electrical copper wire, which always comes handy. I don't know if there's more, could be, but okay. So I need to further untangle these roots, but as you know, I'm not a believer in getting all these roots completely untangled, because it's quite useless, because all these crossing roots, well, you will never use them again. So let's just cut away what is obvious that will be cut away. This will not work, so let's get it off. This is too long, this too. Everything here in the bottom will be too long, so let's get rid of that. And that will make the combing a whole lot easier and a whole less time consuming. Like so. Now, I'll comb away the rest, because, well, there will always be some entangled roots, and few can be useful. I also like to work a little bit on the sheen of my trees, meaning that small roots like this, I will not remove them completely, because they give a everlasting and healthy root system. This is not a good root, you see it's curling back. But on the other hand, if one day I decide to put this tree in a shallow pot with more room at the sides instead as room in the depth, this might be a good root. Now, some roots are not great, like this one growing straight on top, this one. So let's remove these. And then this is the front. This root is very strong and not in a great position. So I think that because I have a nice little smaller root here, it might be a good idea to get rid of that. So let me grab a little plier here and snip this off right here. So that's already a consistent root, but that's good because I'd like to replace the very big root here with smaller ones. And I'm wondering if I cannot go any further. So let me have a look here. There's a nice little root here. And this whole portion, this whole root is very heavy. Now, this is a good root. This one. And I have nice stuff here. So I think maybe I can reduce this whole thing here again, like I did last year, but even a little more. So that's a little bit of a risk, but I think it can be done. That's quite some root, you know. So don't want to do that with the whole tree, but it reduces the whole knob here. And then I think I just might get rid of this big thing. But it's important to come in at a good angle. I need to see how I can do this without damaging the other roots. So maybe I'll just give it a snip and try to break it. That's already not bad. A little more. Yeah, now I can see where it snaps. And with my finer scissors I can reduce the thing completely. And I think I have it without damaging this nice root, which is a smaller one, and the nice roots under it. So that's good. So that reduces this whole thing, and maybe I can get it a little thinner with my knob cutters here. And it might sprout some new roots from this point, and then it will be very good. Like that. I think that's nice. Now this root still is not in a good position, but I don't want to remove it. I don't want to remove too much roots anymore. I'll just make sure that they fit in the pot. So this will be the front. I can block this here, which would give the root a better direction, so I'm going to do that. And for the rest, there are just a few curly roots that I might take care of. I think this root base is starting to look quite okay. So a final combing out, and then I will reduce the profile of all these roots. So as you see, the portion where I removed the big piece here still has a lot of fine roots. So this will keep this portion alive. I don't think I need to remove too much anymore, just profile. Okay. So I'm going to clean up my table, give this a final rinse, and then we'll pot the tree up. Cleaning up the parts in the pot where the drainage screens are going to be, because they need to be flat on the surface. Then I'll take a little bit of substrate, keep the drainage screens down. That's one, and that's two. And now, well, of course, I'm going to need a lot of substrate before I put the tree in the pot. That's quite a mountain. It's over the lip of the pot, but of course I have to push it down all. And I need to have a final look at how I want to position these roots and how the tree is looking in the pot. So I'd like to have the main trunk right in the middle, and then I have to deal with this crossing root, which I will push to this side, and this one I will push to this side. And I'll have to hold the roots down while I fill up with the rest of the soil. So crossing roots, of course, well, they're not desirable, but you don't have to cut everything off. When you repot your trees, you can always try to manage the roots while you're adding your soil, because otherwise you're going to end up with very little roots. This should hold this part in position. Okay, again here, positioning the roots. Make sure that you don't have crossing roots. And like I said many times before, you have to do that when the roots are thin and flexible, because otherwise the only option will probably be cutting them off. Okay, so last side to go. Then of course you can always tweak a little. Let me see. Well, I think it's good. Maybe just tilt it a little bit forwards, not too much, like so. But then it's just a question of working the soil in and the angle will become okay. Didn't make any big chops on this tree, except for this little dead portion at the top, but I did make a big chop here at the roots. So I think I'm just going to cover this up with some wound paste so that it calluses over. Without dying back, but because I want to reduce this part of the roots, but I don't want to make it disappear. So, and this grayish wound paste is kind of nice. Gets a little darker when it dries, and then it's almost invisible on most trees. But of course now I cannot apply any more, fill it up with any more soil, because it's gonna stick in that cut paste, and yeah, I don't want that. So I'll just leave this part to dry for an hour and then I'll fill it up. And just finishing the rest here. A little top layer, but I think oh yeah, there was this wound too. All right, so I'll do that also. Just clean it up real quick with the brush. It's all in the details, isn't it? Like so. Okay, so I think that's almost it. We can have a quick view. So when all this is really worked out nicely, when the cut paste is dry, then I can add some moss, water the tree, etc. But yeah, not yet. But I will show you a few pics when it's starting to leaf out completely, and then will be nice. Again, this, you see these little buds here, it's always the same with these birches. They always make these little shoots at the bottom. And that's why they can make triple trunks or multi-trunks quite easily. So, okay. And so this little birch is ready for spring. It can grow now, it has lots of room in this pot. I hope that my root base is spreading out nicely, and then probably next year I will be able to just cut it nice and round and maybe put it in a more flat pot that I don't have. I envision something 2/3 of this high would be great, and maybe oval. Maybe I'll find a pot somewhere, I don't know, I will see. But you can always work on your tree, not having the perfect pot, of course. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.